What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode here on the Malazan server. Yep, we're back over on our island again. Now, last episode I did end off obviously not achieving our 20-minute timer. I think I exceeded it by double. I think it was like 40 minutes long. So I've actually got a timer on my phone ticking at the moment. So I'm going to try my best not to talk too much, because I tend to go a little bit too much into detail about things. But last episode I did say I was going to mention something about this in case I didn't before. This is from the SS crew or team, but they have actually banded up. There's 3 or 4 of them, I believe, in SS at the moment. And they've got some sort of cryptic Latin here. I think one is like "down with tyrants," and then "we will lead, not be led," I think is a translation from Latin. But yeah, it's 3 or 4 of them have realised that me and Mac have obviously teamed up, and we're sort of running the shops together. So a few of them banded together, and now they're running shops and helping each other out, which I think is a really good outcome more than anything else. A little bit of healthy rival competition drives everyone to be a little bit better and up their game, especially when it comes to builds and designs, and especially shop prices. As soon as they sort of banded together, I did notice a couple of the shop prices sort of go down a bit, and I tend to spend quite a lot of diamonds on concrete and glass at the moment. So in all honesty, for me it is very good, but we're not going to be promoting them anymore on our island, so I'm going to take that down for starters. Today's episode, there's a big project I actually want to get started on. It's definitely not going to be completed in today's episode, and that is a sort of super smelter, but there's sort of 2 to 3 steps that I need to do in order for the super smelter to be able to be built. One is that we're going to need a replenishable fuel source, and the first option obviously being whatchamacallit. Let's throw, I'm just going to throw these in the tools chest for now. The first was going to be either kelp to make the dried kelp blocks, but then with the kelp you've got the added ingredient of having to wait around for the kelp to smelt to then craft it into blocks to then feed it in to be used as fuel, which means there's always going to be a little bit of micromanaging with it. So instead we're going to go full on bamboo farm for our fuel source, because it grows very quickly and it is replenishable. Now if you're wondering what these guys are, these are, I've got a couple of them full of dirt, and then the rest are just full with stone. Full or filled? I'm going to go with filled on that one, I think. Yeah, a couple of them are filled with stone, that's right. So yeah, what I wanted to do is I started flying around looking for an island to actually build on, because I want it, obviously I want it close enough that it's not going to be a nuisance for me to have to travel all the way to just to start smelting stuff. But then I also don't want it within render range of our main base, because it's going to be using a lot of hoppers, and the bamboo and the farm of the bamboo as well is going to create a little bit of lag. Not obviously massive server side sort of lag, but to have that loaded as well as my base of all the hoppers that I've got on my storage system already, I think having that much going on in one area is always going to end up being causing issues, not only for yourself but for other people on server. So what I'm going to be doing is spreading this out a bit, and where I want to build it, I've actually got the coordinates written down and I should really have them at hand, which I unfortunately do not. It is, let me quickly find it, minus 26 and minus 698 is where we got to go. So have I got any rockets? I've got a few, but I don't want them in my offhand. And it is that's 26. Am I going the right way? So nope, nowhere near. Okay, so if we head over this way, you know what, I'm just going to get there and I'll explain to you the words. Okay, so I'm assuming that you could probably expect a few of these little sort of cuts, because as soon as I took off I started running out of rockets, and then my words got muddled and I got flustered. So I'm just going to edit all of that bit out, and where we want to go is minus 26 and minus 698. Minus 26 and 698, so it is definitely this way, and it is definitely this way. And I should really have some more rockets in my hand. So minus 68, and the reason why we're picking this location is, one, we're going to have a tunnel coming through from our island, and I thought it having like a glass tunnel underneath the water coming through the coral reef would be really nice touch, especially if we're going to be going back and forth. And 698 8, so it is right on the edge of the coral reef that we want to build it. So it's around about here is the area that I claimed. Now initially I was looking for islands to actually build it on, but the two closest other islands that I've not already utilised have been claimed by the government or the people running the server. That's for planned for like, shut up dolphin, being planned for like big builds or monument builds type things. So obviously I didn't want to go down there and take any of their spots, and also you can't claim somewhere that's already been claimed. And then I was looking around and there's no other islands. We've got my chorus fruit farm, which is that island just within render distance. If we turn slightly to the right, you can sort of see the corner of it there. That's chorus, and then after that one is the creeper farm, and then over there to the left is the guardian farm. So we've got quite a lot of our stuff within the area, but I needed to find an area that's close enough to travel back and forth from, but not within loading distance. So when I'm at my base, I don't want this area loaded. And what we're going to want to do first of all is build a little platform, which is why I've got a lily pad on me. Now this is a little trick if you don't know. If you want to build in water, rather than having to peel it all the way up from the bottom, you just place a lily pad and then get a block and then just place the block on top, and then that's your starting point. So if we do that, and I could really do with it being down here. Thank you, that helps a lot. And take you back. And then let's just build a little platform to get our shulker boxes out on. So the plan here is we're going to be building an island. We're going to be building an island to be able to build our farm on top of and our super smelter inside of. Is the plan, hopes and dreams. Which is why you could probably assume that this project is not going to be done in this episode. It's very, very unlikely. Now, what we are going to want to do is, first of all, get the lines of the actual farm done. Now, I have no idea how big I want each farm, but I think I'm going to want at least 3 bamboo farms, because I'm only going to have it running whilst I'm over here. So if we just sort of build out a little bit. And we've got some torches on us. I'll probably have to craft some more though, so we may end up having to fly back, but it's not far, obviously. How big do we reckon would we want each farm? I say around about 20 long. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we've got the outlines of the 3 farms that we're going to be having for the bamboo, and it is literally just in render range on this side of our portal for the guardian farm. So you can see how sort of close knit everything is in this area, but it's all just far enough so it's out of loading distance. So while I'm here, I'm not loading the chorus farm or my base or the guardian farm, but all of them are ever so slightly within render distance, which is nice actually, especially what I've got planned for the chorus fruit farm. But what we're going to be doing with these guys is, obviously we don't want our island to be this flat down to the ground. I actually want it to look natural. And with it being a bamboo farm that we're going to be having on top, I think having a jungle theme for it would be really good. Now the island style that I want to go for is, instead of the normal naturally generated islands we have, my plan is that, how best to explain this? If we have like the main, you know what, without messing up this platform, if we just build out a little bit. Let's say we have the main bit of the island, say like so, and let's say it comes up like so. Instead of it going down in a gradient going round, so instead of it sort of working its way and coming out like that down to the ocean, what I actually want to do is have it be like a cliff face. So instead we're going to be having it sort of coming out at the top, and then it's sort of wearing its way down in the middle, and then it's sort of branching back out as it gets slower down. So then you've got sort of like a sheer cliff face, as though it's been broken away from something. But that is the plan. I've never tried building an island from scratch, so I have no idea how difficult it's going to be. I'm assuming the picture I've got in my head is going to be nowhere near the type of thing that it comes out looking like, but the first thing we're going to have to do is actually bring this up by quite a bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to raise all of these frames up by, to get the full effect of what I want, I think we're going to have to go up a little bit. So at least by about 30 or 40 odd blocks. So let me find out the sort of height that I want and I'll bring you back. Okay, so I've managed to get the sort of height that I want, or that I'm happy with. And now that we've got our sort of free farm areas, well, I forgot to actually go into fly mode there. Now we've got our sort of free farm areas marked out of roughly how big they're going to be. Now there's another reason that I wanted to go up high, and that is because I didn't fancy having to clear out water to actually build our super smelter. So obviously our bamboo farms are going to be sitting on top of here because we want them to be part of the aesthetics of the island. And then underneath is where I actually want the collection for the bamboo farms, which then get fed to our super smelter, which will be set up underneath, and we'll have sort of a yep, that's right, enter and exit through from the coral reef over to this area. But now it's a case of trying to get the sort of shape and size of the island that I want. Now obviously we're going to be taking up and down different levels, but for the time being we're just going to be marking out a very flat surface with just dirt, so that way I can adjust it as and how I please. But this is going to be a little bit time consuming because it's going to be a case where I'm going to have to lay a bunch of dirt, fly up and around, see if I like it, see if I like the shape and size, and then once I'm sort of settled with an initial shape size, I guess I'll bring you back. Alright then guys, so I've been doing this sort of pattern and sort of shaping out for the better part of about an hour now, so I thought I'd make a quick cut before I make too much progress, because what I actually want to try to do is do some form of a third person time lapse working on this island, because it's going to be something I'm going to be working on over the course of around about 3, maybe 4 days, building the island up, getting the sides all done and getting all the terrain done the way that I want before putting the actual farms in. So I wanted you to get a sort of idea of the sort of shape and whatnot I'm going for. Now I've gone for no particular shape or size on either side. I've sort of just I sort of filled out the lines on this side bit by bit. I first of all brought out the platforms by A all the way around our central farm, because obviously we're going to want a little bit of breathing room around each one of these units in order to do the decorating. And I'm thinking of going very overgrown jungle sort of feel coming over the actual cliff faces, which I think should, hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe suit it. And then when it comes to around about here, I noticed that I started going in very small circular patterns, and I wanted to get out of that. So what I ended up doing is just looking straight down and just placing blocks, counting 2 to 3, zigzagging as I go, and then I'll sort of go out on the curve, and then I would bring it back in on a bit of a curve, and then I'd bring it back out slightly, then bring it back in sharply, so then I start heading back, and then that way you've ended up with a very natural, although very sort of lopsided. So we've got quite a lot more terrain that's going to be on this side than we have on that side. So that's fine with me. I'm alright with that. I don't want it to be a perfectly symmetrical circular island. I want it to look very natural, and I want it to look very sort of unman-made as far as it goes, but it's going to need a lot of work, like a ridiculous amount of work, more than I even thought. Them 2 shulkers of dirt that I had, that is how much I've got left, and I've not even filled out the first layer yet. That's not even working on the sides or doing any of the details or bringing it down. So I'm clearly majorly underestimated the sort of resources that this is going to require. So I sort of hit up chat, and Max got a shulker that he can throw me a dirt, so that's a little nudge in the right direction. And yeah, it's going to take a bit of work, but hopefully I can manage to get some sort of recording of it, depending on how slow goes it. Because if it is like a ridiculously slow process, trying to record that amount of time and keeping the cameraman safe away from phantom attacks can be a little bit menacing when you're trying to record outdoors. So yeah, I'm sort of just going to keep my head down, try my best to crack on with this as much as possible. But it does mean, due to the size of the project, that we're probably not going to get a video out tomorrow, which is Thursday. So definitely not going to have one out tomorrow. And hopefully this will all be worth it come next Tuesday when this one actually comes out. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can crack on. Okay, so it's now actually the following day, and it must have been the better part of about 8 to 9 hours it took me to get just a shell of this place up. Now, unfortunately, there was no time lapse of it. I did start recording a time lapse of it, But with the amount of people on and the fact that you can't really record progress that you make during the nighttime cycle, and I couldn't really ask everyone to consistently go to sleep, especially when they're busy working on their own things. So after around about 3 nights of it where I was sort of recording, then having to stop for 8 minutes out of every 20 for the night cycle to sort of swing past, I sort of gave up on the idea of trying to get a time lapse of it, and it was taking so long to do as it was. So yeah, I'm gonna have a little fly around and have a look at it. Now, yeah, it does. There are sections of it which obviously need a bit of improvement, but the overall, considering this is the first island I've ever tried building from scratch, and it's quite an ambitious sort of shape and style of island that I wanted to do. I wanted to do it like it's an actual larger island that sort of crumbled away into the ocean. And as you can see, the issue that we've got now is that we've got mobs spawning under the overhang. So I've laid out a layer of dirt around the perimeter, and what I'm going to be doing is whacking up some scaffolding going all the way around the place, so then I can start doing the detail work. I did add another layer of dirt on top because that way we can sort of mess around with the shape and size of the actual surface, because I don't want it to be completely flat and I want to add some more dirt. So I went off and I got another 4 shulkers for the grass, and also went and grabbed a bunch of other resources that we can sort of do detail on the outside walls with. So nope, that's just normal stone, normal stone, normal stone. Yeah, we've got some cobblestone and we've got some more dirt, and we've got some andesite here as well that we can throw into the mix. So yeah, so we can use like andesite slabs, stairs to sort of add different bits of detail and sorry, thank you, add little bits of detail. And then on the edges themselves, what I actually want to end up doing is bringing down some sort of vines and some overgrown leaves, because the sort of style that we want for this place is that because it's going to be primarily a bamboo farm sitting on top, the inside is definitely going to be later. The bamboo farms, by the looks of it, is probably going to be in the next episode, because this one I'm primarily wanting to concentrate on making this island now look as good as I can. So I've been harvesting some vines because I want some vines hanging off the edge. I went and bought some string from one of the mob shops in town, because that's going to prevent the vines from spreading wildly out of control. Because if I just whack vines going all the way around the edge, the entire thing would just be vines hanging down. So I want to strategically place them going around, and then place string either side, and then at the sort of height that I want them to grow. Or I may just place them with string either side, let them grow, and then break it with a piece of string to stop it from growing any longer. So yeah, this is the progress that I'm at, and now I've got to take the painstaking process of actually working my way around the thing and sort of putting up the scaffolding, doing the details. Like, I'm going to be half slabbing all of these lower sections, and that is purely just to stop the mob spawns, because when I'm over here, I don't want to be affecting any sort of mobcat whatsoever. Yeah, that's right. Whatsoever. As you could probably tell, I've been working on this for far too long today. No word of lie, it was around about 3 or 4 hours yesterday evening, and then the better part of about 6 or 7 hours today going around doing it. And after the first section that I'd done must have taken me a good 45 minutes to an hour, and it was only like an 8 wide section, which was absolutely insane. So I sort of had to take a different approach to it, and then I ended up doing larger sections, which is a good and a bad thing. What I was attempting to do is that I'd do a section, and then I'd skip a section, then I'd do the next one, skip a section, then do a section, so that way it doesn't have a continuous flow of the same sort of shape, sort of rhythm that I was in. So you'll see sections where the middle area is a lot taller than the bottom and the top end. There's some areas at the top end where it doesn't sort of curve. If I can just bob up, it doesn't sort of curve outwards like it does in other areas. So like over here, we've got a big overhang that comes out. Sorry about dipping under the water. I'm trying to bob and still move my cursor so then you can see what I mean. But yeah, overall, I'm quite happy with the shape. Obviously, it looks a little bit weird because it's a floating island on top of the water. but eventually I will be taking the stone all the way down to the ocean floor, which is going to require a lot more stone than I've currently got. But for now, we're just going to be concentrating on how good we can get the actual island itself looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to whack up the scaffolding going around the place, set it all up, and then once I'm ready to work on a little section, I'll probably bring you back for just to show you what it is I'm planning on doing with the sections, and then I'll sort of work my way around from there. So yeah, I guess I'll catch you back in a bit. Alright, so I've managed to get the scaffolding up. I've done 2 different levels of it, so that way I can reach all of the sections of the... Oh, hello, trader. Have you got gunpowder? No, you don't. You can go away. So yeah, I've gone all the way around with 2 layers, and then I can reach the entire sides of it, like from top to bottom. And by the way, because there's no passive mobs that can spawn up here, because we're in the middle of I believe a deep ocean, so we are constantly getting the wandering trader with his llamas, and I'm non-stop killing these guys. It's just ridiculous, especially the llamas, because still no fix has been implemented for them to despawn in any way whatsoever, so they end up just littering, especially if I go like away from the computer for like 20 minutes or so. But because I've been pretty much, I think there's 1 or 2 that's hopped on during the day, but I've been pretty much the only one online on the server today. And yeah, so I've had the majority of the wandering trader spawns, but each time he spawns near me and he sells gunpowder, I've been buying 16 bits before his trade locks up, so I guess there is that sort of little thing to take away from it. You, spider, go away, thank you. So what we want to do is actually, I've got an inventory full of the different blocks that I actually want to implement using on here, because we're going to want to make sure that it's spawn proof. So I'm going to be going from section to section, and what we can actually do to mark out the sections that we're working on, because otherwise if I just start going randomly around, I am going to miss out massive chunks of it. So we're just going to do little borders like that for a second, and then we are going to sort of work our way around the bottom section first of all. So say if we throw like half slabs and then maybe some andesite stairs in here, throw some andesite and maybe some cobblestone, and then we sort of cap it off with cobblestone slab and maybe andesite slab, maybe some andesite steps. And that way we're sort of preventing it from spawning, and we're also adding a little bit of texture and variation into the blocks here. So just what we want to do is sort of just go to the very bounding areas and throw a few random blocks here and there, like so. And then we can sort of slab most of it off, throw some stairs in. And this is pretty much what I'm going to be doing, going all the way up and all the way around. And I'm going to be adding some details coming down. Now this is just like the first pass that I'm going to be making on it. And then after doing all of this, I will then be going around and probably adding a little bit of greenery onto the sides. I'm thinking of doing sort of like leaf sections coming down and sort of hanging around, just to add a little bit of colour to the sides and variations and whatnot. But I'm getting a little bit lost as to where I've put half slabs. All the greys sort of mixing in together, and my brain can't really handle it. It's not going well. So we just throw some stairs here. Maybe do some sideward stairs and some cobblestone slab, and then a little bit of shape variation. Can we? I'm in crouch mode. God damn it. So where are we up to? We're up to here, and we need some stairs, say, onto there. How do you reckon that's looking so far? Before you have this sort of variation of texture mix up, I think it will break up just the plain grey and dullness of it, and in the process making it completely and utterly, or hopefully completely and utterly spawn proof. That is what I'm hoping for, but I don't want to be taking it up too far in certain areas. So we just want to make sure that it's all half slabbed or staired on the bottom sections. The top sections, there's very few places that they can actually spawn. so I'm not overly worried about that. I am a little bit worried about how I'm meant to be getting over to there though, so it's a couple of little blocks over here. And I don't know if I've got them yet or not. Nope, I've not yet got them, or this one here, but what we are going to be able to do is sort of pick and choose where we want to sort of take it down, and then we can bring it back up little bits here and there, just so that it looks fairly decent. And put an andesite slab on you, maybe throw one like that. And even if we didn't want to just add blocks, we can just sort of punch holes in and just add some variation into the wall directly, rather than having to add on top of it, which is always another option, which is more than likely what I'm going to probably do. I'm probably going to do one once over with half slabs and stairs, and then as soon as I've got it completely spawn proof, then I'll go round and I'll start taking out blocks where I don't think they're entirely necessary, or I think it looks a little bit cluttered, and I'll just replace it with the blocks and bits that I think will look better. Oh, and into the water. Okay, so how are we going? I'm not too sure about that big chunk of cobblestone, but I think once we've added more of the cobblestone, it may sort of mould in a little bit better. It's a big change from the tones of the andesite and the normal stone, but I think that may actually help it along, adding the cobblestone. And it's already getting dark, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very long and tedious process of going around the place, doing all of this block swapping and spawn proofing, hopefully get some more gunpowder, because I'm definitely running low on rockets. Really? Come on. Did you drop any? Did you? No? No gunpowder? Oh, God. Yeah, well, I'm going to do the long tedious process of running around and getting all these blocks sort of done, and I'll bring you back for hopefully a decent transformation. And I may actually do something with the edge lip just running round as well, just to sort of smooth it off and take some of the stone a little bit higher, maybe bring the dirt a little bit lower in some positions, just so that it's not one straight hard line going across, because I think that looks a little bit weird. It makes it look like a cake a little bit, but hopefully that will change as I'm sort of going through it. So yeah, I guess I'll catch you back in well, quite a while for me, but yeah, in a bit. Okay, so after a very long and tedious process yet again with this island, I went ahead and I done the leaves sort of hanging around the outside of our island, and then I decided to add some vines for the really overgrown look. But again, with the vines, it's a proper tedious progress that I'd had to place them and then wait for them to grow a bit, then do the rounds, then go AFK for a few hours, do the rounds and add some string, go AFK, sort of rinse and repeat for the better part of about 2 days, because one thing is that if you leave the vines sort of get overgrown without keeping them controlled with string, is that eventually being AFK in this area while waiting for stuff to smelt, because obviously we're going to be having our massive smelter here, the vines would have completely taken over the island and it would have just made it look like absolute rubbish. And I didn't want to take down the scaffolding before I'd controlled all the vines, just in case that happened. And we have been having some looky-loos pop over in the area, because this is now the third boat that I've found sort of hanging about over here. And I'm not too sure who it is or who's been popping over, but they've obviously followed my little icon on the locator map and sort of just tracked me to over here, because at the moment I am in the middle of nowhere. But I think it's about time. Like, I've done a good few rounds, a good few AFK sessions, making sure that the vines aren't getting too out of control. I've had to remove them in some places, but if I just go back up here and I could show you the words, if I could show you the amount of string that I've been using. So I've got like string sort of boxing in this entire section, and then we've got string underneath all of the ones that are hanging, just to stop them from going out of control. And yeah, and I also done the rounds and added a bunch of the mossy cobblestone, just slightly lowered down. I didn't want to go too low down, because the sort of look of it is that the vegetation from the top is meant to be overgrowing, and then obviously we want the majority of the mossy cobblestone further up. So we've got a bunch of mossy cobblestone dotted about, which makes it just an added little touch, but I think it's about time to remove all of this scaffolding now. The thing that I'm worried about is that if I remove the dirt, will this scaffolding just fall down to the ocean floor? Oh no, it does just break. So what we can do now is just quickly run round, take out all of this dirt, and then I'll pick up all the scaffolding. Alright, so we've taken out all the scaffolding, although some of it's been a little bit laggy and sort of catching up on where we are on the server. So we've got quite a few bits that were just hanging there for quite a while, which was a little bit strange. But I will go around and hopefully collect the majority of this, but I didn't want to lose daylight before finish off recording, so we may just lose out and just have to recraft the scaffolding, but it's not much of a big deal. But let's get our first fly around and have a look at how the island looks without the scaffolding. And I am actually really liking it. It's taken a very long time to get to this point. Like the initial shape I wasn't overly happy with, and then making adjustments as I go. But yeah, with the amount of vines sort of coming down and the overgrown look, now obviously it looks a little bit odd without the vegetation and the fauna that should be sitting on top, like all of our jungle trees and the overgrown leaves. But obviously I didn't want to go ahead and do any of that until I've actually got the farms in place. I can hear a spider, but I want to see if this guy's selling gunpowder. Are you? No, you're not. You're useless to me. That's what I've been doing, because like majority of the time I'm on early in the morning or early during the day UK time, so most of the people who are based in America are usually in bed by this point. So I tend to get the majority of the trader, what is it, wandering trader spawns, which is always handy. So I've just been buying gunpowder off of them, and yeah, it's all happy days. I've got a fairly decent amount of gunpowder in stock, but not too much to be wasting rockets, which is how come I'm still using my trident. Let's just have a little swim around with the help of our dolphin friend, who's obviously nudging us along. But yeah, I quite like this overhang bit as well. I thought that was going to come out looking really weird. I'm not too sure if I wanted to take the underbelly of that up a little bit. That's something that I can always adjust. Have we got a random hole? Oh no, that's just like an indent bit. But yeah, I'm going to have to keep an eye on the vines though, because obviously where I've placed them on the leaves at the top, if some of them were to grow over by one block, obviously I've not stopped them from growing down on that one block. So if it does grow over, then start growing down, then it's got a sort of free run. But with how far the leaves come out, the majority of them will only stretch down into the water. So it shouldn't be too much of a worry about them actually landing on the base of the island and sort of spreading outwards. There is a couple of sections that could probably, no, see this one's all out of the line. Now see the majority of it, if it does grow down from the actual leaves, it shouldn't be too much of an issue, because the leaves all come out by one and then they all drop down. So it's very rare, or it will take very, very long for them to become a nuisance. I do know in the console edition survival let's play that I done, I did place just a few vines on a building, and this is very early on in me starting to play Minecraft, and literally the entire building got encased in vines where I was AFK because it was an iron golem farm, and it was so bad to the point where I was unable to remove it, because every single time I started removing it, it was spreading just as quick as I was removing it. So yeah, that was all fun, but I'm quite happy the way that this island's turned out. And I am well aware that we are completely out of time for today's episode, so hopefully in the next episode we'll actually get to doing some redstone and working on the farms. But hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode, and I'll hopefully catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.